Welcome to the Teep Show, a show for UFC veterans and casuals alike, where we review the latest comings and goings in the world of mixed martial arts. We have a very exciting show tonight, as you can see, for two reasons. The first is this is our first episode recorded while watching a fight night. And the second is the return of the reigning, defending host, Jonah, or JMan, coming off a mandatory 3-month suspension for banned substances. JMan. Happy New Year.
Good to be here, baby.
Yeah, we're back. We're so back. We're watching Mackenzie Dern versus Rebus fight night as we pod because, well, the card is so bad that we don't need to see the whole fight. Kopylov is my boy. Long time, my boy. Been on that train. Long time. And we just watched him knock out, very controversially knock out Chris Curtis with a second left in the third round. So, to be fair, can't shit on the fight night card too bad tonight because next week, absolutely
banger.
What's your favorite fight next week?
I'm gonna go co-main.
Co-main, yeah. As always, we're gonna begin with Around the Horn, around the world of the UFC. First, Colby Covington says his championship window is not closed and that he would kill Bilal Muhammad. Okay. This is a rumor, and I'm actually excited to know if you know anything about it. I've seen a lot on Twitter about Arman Tsarukyan's parent.
Billionaire father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that true? You know?
I can't say I've verified it with any intel, but I mean, if it's gaining as much traction as it is, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, I don't think you look like that unless you have unbelievable amount of resources for your body to be shaped like that at some point. So,
it is Twitter. So take it with a grain of salt. But I'm hearing like Armenians are the wealthiest ethnicity in America. Like, that a lot of rich benefactors have gotten behind his camp. And we've seen this before, namely Habib, after making his Conor McGregor pay-per-view money, has donated to Islam's camp. Right. I think Volk 2 was a $1 million camp. Right. So, what are we buying this? That his dad's loaded?
It wouldn't surprise me. I'd say if it's gaining as much traction as it is, it's more likely true than not. I've seen there's a YouTube channel out there that's fantastic. It's way better than anything the UFC does with embedded, called Red Corner MMA.
Shout out Red Corner MMA.
MMA is unbelievable, man. They put up it's essentially embedded, but somebody in Russia/Dagestan does it. And
okay.
They largely only cover Dagestani fighters or fighters if they're in Abu Dhabi for any reason. American fighters that are there for a fight, they'll interview them in the hotel lobby or something like that. But it's so well done. And anyways, back to Arman and how that relates to Red Corner. I saw his training facility, and that's part of the reason why I'm not quick to deny any billion-dollar father, because he's essentially practicing at it's got to be a multi-$100-million facility.
I thought that was ATT, the training video.
He goes to ATT for competition purposes to train.
But the footage I've seen has been at his own private.
He trains a lot, and I'm the name of the PFL fighter that he trains with out of Dagestan's escaping me, but he's like the best PFL lightweight that isn't Usman, and he trains with that guy.
Salibi.
There's a couple of them. I think you got it. I think you got it right there.
Yeah.
They train at this center in Russia, and I mean it's it couldn't be. It's like built it out of a lab or something like that. So yeah, I'm not surprised. And like again, he looks like that. You got to have some serious science to be sculpting your body that way. So
if it was an abs competition, he'd be the 8-time reigning.
What's that? C-Bum and Arman. I mean, they should be going head to head. Fire that guy up with some real roids. We're talking, what do they call that? Fucking Mr. Not Mr. America, Olympia.
Mr. Olympia, yeah.
Mr. America.
Mr. America. For a guy who's nominally an Arman guy, not real. I am. I think he's got a fair shot against Islam, but he's got no personality, no defining characteristics. I will say, the storyline of him being absolutely loaded and fighting anyway for fun is awesome.
Yeah,
is the coolest thing about it.
Different. You don't see a lot of people trying to work that hard and do something that grueling when they can do whatever.
I mean, you don't see people work that hard, that grueling to go into law or banking or be a doctor when they're that loaded.
Yeah.
Never mind the hardest physical sport in the world.
Yeah. No doubt about it. That's some respect points for Arman.
Luckily, our viewership is not high enough that I expect to get death threats from what I'm about to say. But with all due respect, Dagestan is.
I don't know. I said Red Corner. They might have some that science lab that he fucking trains at. They might have some ins to,
They might be combing YouTube. Yeah. All right. Well, good for Arman. Next, Johnny Walker out of UFC 311. Jonah, do we care?
Nah, not a damn.
No. That's it. It's a kind of a quiet week as we go into 311, which is actually exciting because it means that all the emphasis is on a very, very stacked card. Next week we have the co-main JMan was referring to was Merab versus Umar. We have Islam versus Arman as the main. Why am I blanking right now? We have Jamal Yuri. Oh gosh, what a number 3.
Moicano, Benny.
That's Money Moicano. Shout out Money Moicano versus Benny Dariush. Actually, that's an around the horn that I missed. Did you happen to see Dan Hooker's comment about Moicano Dariush?
Did not.
I'll tell you. Hooker says Moicano definitely can't out-grapple Dariush. And if his only path to victory is on the feet, he doesn't see Moicano doing that either. So he's got Dariush by a land.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not as low on Benny as the community seems to be just because he lost to some really good guys. That said, Moicano has looked really good. So saying Moicano is better than somebody at grappling shouldn't be a hot take, in my opinion. So
let me jump in. Specifically, he mentioned that Dariush's grappling was so far superior. The BSD fight should basically be thrown out because of how bad BSD's grappling. I think that's a little unfair to a guy that landed, I believe, multiple takedowns on Dustin.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I love Dan Hooker, and he's doing what he's got to do to talk shit and build storylines and whatnot, which I'm good with. But in terms of if he's legitimately breaking down that fight, I can't say I agree at all.
Do you agree with me that somehow fighters seem very bad at breaking down and especially predicting fights?
Yeah, with the caveat that I think they're too emotionally tied to be objective about anything. Like usually,
what do you mean? Like they have teammates and they're
teammates, guys that they like and don't like, that are in line with how they approach the sport, and so all they ever do is side with whoever they like more, and it very rarely has anything to do with the skill between the two guys. So, an example would be like, how split the community was after the O'Malley-Yan fight, because O'Malley is the definition of like a polarizing character. So you had guys saying, "Oh, I thought O'Malley got it," and then you had got a ton of, especially Russians, because Yan was from Russia, saying that was 3-0.
Brother, 8 takedowns.
They just side with whoever they wanted to win the fight, and that's it.
the thing I've noticed in ex-fighters breaking down fights is a real bias towards experience.
Sure.
Like Hamzat Whitaker, which, to be fair, I liked Whitaker at the money line, but how many times have I heard, Whitaker's been in these fights before. He's been there. And I'm not trying to poo-poo experience, but it seems like there's almost a bias against young up-and-coming guys that, like, it's like the ranking system. The only way you can get to number 6 is by beating number 6. When in reality, like, if you and I fantasy drafted the divisions, it would look significantly different.
It's the same reason, like, Anthony Smith would probably pick Andre Arlovsky over Tom Aspinall right now. That's how they do things. Right? Like, you got to.
Tom hasn't been in the
you
fire.
You got to put time in. You haven't earned it. Whatever. And, like, there's a reason they haven't been in the fire. It's because they're so fucking good. Unlike you, Anthony, that they win their fights pretty quickly and don't have to go through these wars where they get their brain beaten in. So it's nonsense.
Yeah. Shout out Anthony for retiring, which I think is official.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's back in 3 months.
I hope he retires. Anthony, if you're listening,
I never need to see it again.
I hope you go, brother. You had a good run, title shot. Didn't go well, but all right. We're gonna go straight into it's a new year. Happy New Year to all you guys out there. That means the end of 2024. And to wrap up the year, we're going to give out some of our own awards. Some of these overlap with the MMA awards, which have already been given out, and we'll announce who the winner was for those. And we'll see whether we agree with those. And we've also made up some of our own awards for the conversations that we have one-on-one, things that are more exciting. So we will start with the golden standard of awards. Got to talk about it. The best fighter of the year. This was a 2-horse race between Ilia Topuria.
Can't be another name besides Ilia and Pereira.
Correct. And like, I didn't even hear, this year in the NFL you have Lamar and Allen, and you hear some dark horse about Burrow, third party. You didn't even hear a third party. So it's Ilia Topuria or Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira won the MMA award. On 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ilia Topuria. We're not going to spend too much time on it. Basically, when you knock out the 2 best people to ever fight in a weight class in the same year, that's going to get you best fighter.
Yeah, and they were title fights too. So I mean, it's Alex saved the day multiple times, so I'll give him credit from like a show-based perspective and saving big events on short notice and whatnot. Great. And it's obviously no disrespect to him. He's number 2 on the list, but Ilia for us for sure. If we're keeping things strictly MMA impressiveness.
Yes. Ilia. If you just look at the time inside the octagon, not came in short notice, not saved UFC 300.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And I think that's pretty I actually think that's, with all respect to Alex, I think that's pretty clear cut.
Yeah, no doubt.
Never seen that before, knocking out 2 GOATs of the weight class in the same year. I mean, in the same career ever.
Right. That's right.
So, number 2, this is our own award. No, I think they have this actually, but they gave it to Aspinall, which is so stupid. Best breakthrough fighter. Let me talk about why giving it to Aspinall is stupid. Aspinall had broken through already. What'd he do? He already had the interim belt at the end of 2023.
I thought he was the best heavyweight going into the year. So, like,
you thought he was the best heavyweight after the Volkov fight in 22. Right. So, best breakthrough fighter. You want to start, or you want me to go?
I'll go. Yeah. The word breakthrough is subjective. So it's weird to name a guy who had been in the top 5 before. But I'm going to say Moicano after 16, 18 months off from the 2022 fight against Brad Riddell. And then you come in after that long off, pretty old, and finish Turner and BSD.
What a fight that was.
I'm in there. I think, like, The rankings don't suggest it because everybody knows rankings are bullshit. But he does have a fight versus Dariush that'll boost his ranking as well. But everybody knows he's probably like 2 fights away from a title shot. So when you go from unranked, pretty irrelevant out of the title picture, to finishing 2 real fucking dudes in the division, and you're setting yourself nicely up going into this year, he's good. Off the top of my head, he's going to get my breakthrough fighter.
Moicano actually won an award. You know what it was?
I don't.
Comeback of the year.
Sure.
Comeback for the Turner fight, which we thought was over.
Yeah.
When we watched it, we thought, great, good award making by the UFC there. I love that. A guy that I think Moicano is one of, we're going to talk about who's going to win belts at the end of the year. I think only 5 people can conceivably hold the belt. And Moicano's one of the guys that can get a shot.
I can get there.
But Chandler, well, I guess you could say, I could beat McGregor. But Moicano is on a real trajectory of the belt. Not saying he's going to win it, but, win 2 fights and you got
sure. Yeah.
Best breakthrough fighter for me is Joaquin Buckley. We saw Joaquin Buckley and his spiritual cousin Kevin Holland kind of muddle along for years at 185, really being, slightly above 500 fighters. Both guys showed a lot of potential, and both guys should have made the cut to 170. They both made the cut to 170. Holland lost a very close split decision to JDM, and then said, fuck it, I'm back at 85, kind of just being lazy and without the dedication needed to make a championship run, which is his prerogative. Buckley, on the other hand, stayed at 70. I think is 6-0 since he went down to 70, and just dominated Colby Covington. He had to fight an alphabet soup that was highly touted, unranked, fought down in the rankings to defend, got his big name fight against Colby Covington, absolutely dominated a guy that fought for the belt in his fight prior. So, Colby's washed. The reason Colby's washed is because Buckley washed him. And welterweight is so stacked, it's hard to say that, he's up. He's not up next. Who knows who's up next? But Buckley, I think, has made the biggest increase in his championship equity over the last year and chance, and just looked absolutely dominant against the guy again who gave Kamaru, arguably the best 70 of all time, his 2 hardest fights he's ever had. So that'd be Joaquin Buckley for me. Number 3, third award, is the most disappointing fighter of the year, and I'm going to give a little personal backdrop on this one. I had the good fortune to travel to Italy earlier this year. Islam was fighting Dustin on a pay-per-view, 302 maybe. And I stayed up Italian time till 4 a.m. to watch Dustin Islam. And because of this co-main of which the fighter was a part, I got so tired, I literally fell asleep as soon as the split decision was announced. So, most disappointing fighter for me is Paulo Costa, who came in the UFC as an absolute wrecking ball, the eraser. Gave us a war with Yoel Romero, who nobody wanted to fight and who had really run through everybody to that point. And, to say a shell of himself is almost flattering. Backing up the whole fight. I know Strickland's a pressure fighter, but just looked like he had lost all of his confidence in there. And for a guy who was the most exciting prospect in the division at one point, it looked like it's all over for him.
Go box Logan Paul, brother. I don't need to see it again.
I might take Logan.
100%. 100%. He looks great and he's funny. That's all I got to say about Costa. His best fight was against Whitaker. And it was a no.
Spinning back kick.
Yeah. He lost 3-0. and it was and that was his best fight.
Yeah, I just think the drain and the complete stylistic difference. I mean, it's almost like the story you love to tell about Dorino, Gilbert Burns being a gung-ho.
Don't get me started, man.
Being a gung-ho guy that comes forward and then got a defensive striking coach and now is, trying to point box.
Congrats on breaking down the film, man.
So that is a little personal for me because I like Paulo, but that is my disappointing fighter of 2024.
I'll say Colby. I'm just flipping through my head of like people that just disgust me when I watch them fight now, and it honestly nothing to do with how annoying Colby is as a person or anything, but like Colby's fights are built up so much as these big main events, title fights. That card specifically was the last of the year. Okay, is he still relevant? And it's just waste of time. Like I stopped watching the fight midway through before it even got stopped because it's a waste of time. If you're not gonna even try to take anybody down when all you can do is wrestle, and you're an undersized guy in your division, so even wrestling might not work out. If you're gonna, I mean, you with your twice a week Muay Thai practice could out kickbox that guy. It's not even close. So I'm tired of it. I never need to see it again. He can go box Costa if they want to do that. Make some money, good for them. But I mean, it's a disgrace to the sport to watch that guy fight. So I'm done.
Let me check my notes. So he recently said his championship window was not closed.
You know Colby. He'll say it.
You disagree with that statement?
Come on. What are we talking about here?
What I loved was Colby recently said he might go up to 85 to fight Strickland. And he said, I don't see anything in Strickland. All he is a cardio kickboxer.
He's trying to squeeze out that last little juice of money.
I know he's a big talker, but to accuse somebody of being a cardio kickboxer when literally that is your game when you're not crotch sniffing. Yeah,
it's pathetic.
Okay. Another staple of the MMA awards. I actually agree with them here. Best fight of the year. Actually, no, I'm sorry, I don't. They went for, you know what they went for?
I have no idea.
They went for Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, I should have known that. Of course it did.
Which, if it happened, I mean, obviously this wasn't the case, but if it was on the prelims of a random card, it would have been a good fight. Would have been a good fight with a crazy finish.
Sure.
It would have been fight of the night. Fight of the year? No. It's UFC 300, it's Max, etc. The real fight of the year was Daniel Zellhuber versus Esteban Ribovic. This was Rio. There's a sphere, yeah, whatever the sphere was. Noche.
302, I think.
302. And sometimes the fight of the year, sometimes it goes to, and you go for really technical, high-level fights, like Islam Volk 1, clear fight of the year, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This was not one of those occasions when we're going for the very technical, skillful fight. These guys were just slugging. Unbelievable that they both stayed up. Zellhuber was on shaky legs for pretty much the whole third round, and every time it looked like it was going to be a standing stoppage, would land a massive hook or a jab that backed him up. Great fight. I really like Zellhuber as a prospect. Tough result for him, but he does get consolation. My fight of the year.
Ribovic is a baller too. People were sleeping on him going in. I mean, that's a great answer. I'm going to give Pereira his flowers and say Pereira Roundtree. I mean, people sleep that Roundtree was up 2-0.
What if Roundtree's fast?
Roundtree was fast. I mean, Roundtree plus 600, whatever, underdog, something like that. Roundtree was fast and up 2-0 and looking real good.
Knockdown?
And then he got knocked out. So and Pereira fucking was turning up, and man, that was like masterclass striking on both ends. And especially like when guys are that big and they're so powerful, any punch can end it. So the fact that it lasted till round 4,
absolutely,
yeah, it was a banger. I'm gonna give that fight of the year.
Alex hadn't gone to the third round with the belt until that fight, and he was down 2-0 going into the third in this fight.
That's right.
I was really happy for Khalil because there was a lot of conversation about he's 8 or he might have been 9, even 7, and he doesn't deserve this. There's other people, and frankly, yeah, he didn't deserve it, but once he got in there, there was no doubt that was the right fight to make. Completely validated. And even though he didn't have the number or the record, he did deserve that fight. He proved it.
Dang, I'd watch it again anytime. I mean,
for sure.
Rematch in a year.
Is there any word with Roundtree? Is he still healing up?
I'm sure his eyes haven't opened in 4 months or however long it's been.
He did an interview right after, and he had hate over his nose because he was still just leaking so badly.
Yeah.
But never had the opportunity to go down.
Right.
And never. All right. This is an award that I remember kind of Jonah not liking for being very subjective. A lot of different answers here, but we got to do it. Absolutely got to do it. It is also a staple MMA award. I believe the winner was a flying knee the side of a cage. I'm spacing on who it was, to be fair. But this is the best knockout award, knockout of the year. For me, this is a guy that I don't rate highly, actually don't rate at all in his prospects. But man, I'll give him his flowers after shitting on him for a long time. He is not just a sideshow attraction. He might have one eye, but he is fucking fun to watch. Shara Pirate, double spinning back fist KO. Never seen it before against a kickboxer. Pretty fucking.
I'm going to double down on how impressive Ilya putting Max's chin out for the first time was.
Absolutely. The legendary
You got to consider who's in play. And you're not, out cold too. Not just knocked out. Out cold. I'm going to go Ilya for knockout of the year.
And that chin took about 7 punches that would have knocked anyone else.
Crazy. And then he still did it, obviously. We'll get to it later, but I just don't see anybody lasting with Ilya 25 minutes if he can do that.
Big shout out to Josh Emmett.
Shout out
to Josh.
Big fucking head, and you're
holy shit, dude! How did you last 25? You got knocked like 8 times. Tough, elite levels of toughness. Shout out Brett Apley. I really like that description. Elite levels tough. Okay. The last award is obviously one that I made up. It is the Down But Not Out award for an athlete, a fighter who you thought was on the down slide, who you had written off. Could be a prospect too. Someone that you had written off and proved you wrong in 2020. So I'll go first with an example. That would be your boy, Dustin, the Diamond Poirier, who we last saw before that getting head kicked by Justin Gaethje, knocked out. Seemed like his time at the top was done. He had to fight down the rankings, which for a guy who's knocked out McGregor twice, could be seen as being beneath him, and he could have taken that the wrong way, but he accepted the challenge like a true competitor. He said, some people gave me that opportunity, so I feel like I have to give them the opportunity. Turned around my boy, Benoit Saint Denis, after losing the first round. And then, but more importantly, he wins the Down But Not Out award because he gave, who I think we both consider the pound-for-pound number one, Islam Makhachev, the hardest fight he's had. With the belt, certainly, arguably over his career. Certainly the most damage. He's Volk. Okay.
Volk for sure.
Volk, yeah. Sorry. Most lightweight challenge he's had. It seemed like a really easy fight for Islam. Path to victory. No shit. Benoit took down Poirier twice, right? Islam is going to take him down, hold him down, submit him like Khabib did. And Dustin showed at 36 or whatever, by far the best takedown defense of his career. Still got taken down, but to stuff 80% of the takedowns or whatever with really high level shit. Very impressive. And gave us a classic, gave us a war. And I know that he was satisfied with that performance, which, when a guy like Poirier is satisfied with a loss, that's when you know he done well.
I think I'm between two guys in my head. So shout out, honorable mention, Peter Yan. Although I never thought Peter was down, so I'm gonna give it to somebody else. But shout out Peter Yan for a comeback year and being close there. Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker. I even said I was one of the ones who was like, don't be surprised when he beats Gamrot. But
shout out JMan. I'm going to give JMan his flowers. He absolutely was still on the Hooker train. Gave him a shot against Jalen Turner, who we agree is the most
Turner and Gamrot.
Gamrot.
More so Gamrot. I thought the Turner matchup was worse for him, and I would say the fights would agree with that statement. But if you're going to beat Gamrot at lightweight, you got to be real fucking good. And people a couple years ago were saying Dan Hooker, Tony Ferguson should be made, and it would be a pick'em right now. And here we are, 2025, and he's coming off a Gamrot win. I mean, that earns you, especially when you're a name as big as Dan Hooker, it earns you a McGregor fight, or it earns you one fight away from a title shot. And track back to our Moicano conversation. Like if Moicano beats Benny, those are two big names. That could be it. I could see that. So I'm sticking with Hooker with a win over Gamrot.
That's a better answer than mine. That is probably should be consensus. Yeah. We're both Hooker fans. When he accepted the Gamrot fight, at least I was like, no, come on, don't do that. And go figure. That's it. Topuria, best fighter. Buckley, breakthrough. Costa, disappointing. Delhuber, Ribovic. Oh, I missed one, J-Man. We got worst downfall. The worst year for any fighter.
Gilbert, defensive striker, Burns. I'm done. I love you. It's not a you disgust me type of thing like Colby or any of these guys, but I'm tired of watching a guy I love get in there and look like a shell of himself, and it's pathetic. It's pathetic to watch. I can't watch it anymore. I can't. I mean, what are we doing? Jiu-Jitsu world champion. He's getting out grappled. He can't strike it at all. He can't jab at all. He can't defend. Watch the film on how to defend strike, but he can't. So I'm done with it.
Explain the defensive striking thing for people.
Long story short, Gilbert Burns was coming off the hot streak of his career, and was really building a name for himself. I think his most recent fight before it was a win over Magny, like easy submission in Brazil, but it's just because he took it on short notice to help build the card and make some money. But it was they gave him the Masvidal fight to build him, and he said this in his camp going into the Masvidal fight, which, by the way, led to the Bilal fight 2 months later and that was a title contender fight. So
I don't even want.
If anybody's been an MMA fan for 5 years now, 10 years, they know. Go watch Gilbert highlights. He used to be a madman, like unorthodox, which I know people can poke holes in, but when you're not some super long, sharp striker, you do have to be unorthodox sometimes and a little bit wild. That was his path to victory on the feet. Go watch Damian Maia, fucking wild knockout. So
Hamzat round 3, throwing hammers.
Yeah, that's right. So, no, he wasn't just jabbing Hamzat; he was swinging, and that's why it was a close fight. So we had some guy come in to kill Cliff, with a bunch of tape telling him why he sucks at defense when they're on the feed, and got to be super patient and, picking his shots more like he's some stand-up guy that can poke people and not just enter with wild combos to hopefully get a takedown. And it didn't really manifest itself to the extent where people were like, what the hell is happening in the Masvidal fight? Because Masvidal was so washed and such a joke that Gilbert won 30-27 and nobody flinched. They were like, of course Gilbert won 30-27. Okay. But Gilbert looked like shit that fight. Gilbert looked like shit. He looked terrible. He wasn't taking him down much. He looked like shit on the feet. He just landed an occasional big looping shot because Masvidal's slow ass to get out of the way. And so nobody flinched. And then he fought Bilal shortly after. And I know Bilal's obviously very good, and if in hindsight, Bilal probably wins that fight most of the time, even when Gilbert was at his peak. But he didn't even stand a chance. Well, I mean, we all know how good of a boxer Bilal is now, and Gilbert got in there trying to box the guy. Like, I don't know. I know, whatever, he hurt his shoulder in the fight, but I don't think it would have mattered. I mean, he was done almost 2 years ago now when that guy came in and showed him how to defend himself in the cage.
He made Bilal look like Sean Strickland in that fight.
That's right.
He was leading the dance.
Maybe that Canelo comment from Bilal's coach wasn't so bad after that fight, because good Lord. Yeah, Gilbert's my downfall, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, you hate to see it. Well, you love Gilbert.
Love him. One of my favorites. That's why it's so sad.
I love my downfall of the year too. I was hot on this guy as you can be. This guy's carried out French special forces missions in Africa. He's got a Templar cross on his chest. He's a badass. He's Benoit Saint-Denis, once heralded UFC prospect, one of the hottest prospects in the whole organization after his head kick against Matt Frevola at UFC 295 in New York City. And he was rewarded, to tell you how hot he was rewarded with a Dustin Poirier fight. Again, Poirier, who knocked out McGregor twice, on a handful of the biggest stars in the sport. Benoit got that fight. Showed elite levels cardio, elite levels toughness, no doubt about it. But showed zero head strike defense. And then took a fight in Paris, in his homeland, against Renato Moicano, Money Moicano, shout out. And showed it would basically be like if Renato took Jonah down right now. Like, Jonah wouldn't know how to get up. Benoit didn't know how to get up either. And just a really fucking 60-0 full car accident, car crash, high speed, hype train derailment. And
now he's getting fed to Patty Pimblett.
Yeah. Yeah. And like,
who knows? Who knows?
If you told me that a year ago, we'd
Nonsense.
Be like, yeah, I'd be like, oh, you can't kill. That's mean, And so that is my downfall of the year, from a guy that looked like he had championship equity to a guy that looks like he's going to fall out.
Fair.
That's that. That is the end of 2024. Happy New Year to everybody. And we have to keep moving to 2025 every year for 2 years running now. Jonah and I have sent each other our year-end belt predictions. That is, who's going to be holding the belt at the end, the calendar end of the year. So you have to take into account how many fights the guys has, how many fights, if they're not the champion, how many fights away are they? If you're Umar and you have a fight in January, that means he's got to defend probably twice, and so on. So these are the champions that will be holding UFC gold December 31st, 2025. Let's actually make our way down this time.
I'm easy.
Okay. Why don't you take us away with heavyweight?
Why don't we move on to light heavyweight?
Okay.
The man who would beat anybody in a fight is in the heavyweight division. So he's never going to lose. I mean, at least, I don't know what 10 years from now looks like, but he's not going to lose a fight anytime in the near future when he's as good as he is now.
Yeah, I mean, if you sim him versus Pavi 100 times, he loses 17.
Right,
whatever.
sure. And who knows if they even make that rematch. So, and I think that'd be the only matchup where he'd have a legit shot of losing. So, and Pavi just lost. So, doesn't seem like that's coming anytime soon.
This is an excellent betting opportunity. Why is that, JMan? It's because Aspinall is favored to have the belt the year end. But he's like minus 120.
Who's second in odds? Almeida?
John Bones Jones.
Yeah, I don't know how that consolidates itself on like a book who has
Jones is right behind.
But Jones could retire, I'm saying. Who do they give it to if Jones just doesn't even fight the entire year and they just let him hold the
If he I imagine if he retires and they don't schedule a vacant fight, it would be Jones, but they would schedule a vacant pretty quick, I imagine.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna say Tom. I'll say Tom.
Jones is the worst money of all time for the reason you just mentioned.
Yeah.
If he wins Aspinall, which I give him more of a chance than Jonah, but he's the dog, no doubt. He's gone. He's not sticking around for. Oh, let me get Volkov for one more. No. There's no fucking way.
He's either doing it for the big check to beat Tom or nothing. And Tom's champ regardless, so not even worth discussing.
If Jones, I know this goes against your moral fiber. If Jones beats Aspinall, okay,
it's you're already in fantasy land.
Would you say unanimous without a doubt? Best fighter
100%.
Do you think that this is? I mean, hindsight's 50-50, as Cam Newton once said, but Prime DC was a GOAT as well.
Yeah, he's one of the best ever. People argue DC should be on Rushmore in these conversations. Obviously, you sort of when you think about people in lanes, DC and Jones were kind of in the same lane, and Jones obviously owns that lane, and you can't put two people in the same lane on Rushmore. So,
sure. Light heavyweight. I'll go first. So heavyweight. I said the contenders are Aspinall, Jones, Volkov, gone. Say Aspinall wins, he's going to defend again. He'll be active, gone. Yeah, we know that. Yeah. I know. I'm just saying those are the people
Aspinall.
Already armbarred Volkov in about 240 seconds.
Aspinall.
Yeah. Light heavyweight. We texted about this offline. It's one of the two guys that are rumored as of today to be official. That's Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev. If you're a loyal listener to this pod, I think even from when we started, at the start, we said Magomed Ankalaev is, the best light heavyweight that's never fought for the title. He's going to run through everybody. They're hiding Alex from him. And in that time, Jonah, as I texted you today, I just don't know anything.
Yeah, I'm certainly not as confident as I once was. That said, I'm going to stick with Magomed. Yeah, you switching up?
I'm switching up. I'm officially, as of today, I'm switching up. I was I guess not switch because we were on Anchor, but Pereira made a real tough run.
Better remember this timestamp to remember how silly you sound when this fight happens in 5 months, and it's a fucking splattering on the mat.
But yeah,
splattering.
Yeah. But you agree, it's gotten closer. It's gotten a lot closer.
It's interesting to talk about. Yes, it's interesting, and it didn't seem to be interesting at all at one point. So
exactly. The Jan fight is what I keep coming back to. Very good grappling against Blachowicz.
Sure, I mean Blachowicz, whatever.
Yeah, legendary Polish power.
Let me say something about light heavyweight, and I've been saying this since I've known you. Keep an eye on Nikita Krylov, okay? Because a lot of these matchups have already happened now, and some of the guys aren't even interesting. Period. So you think about the top of the light heavyweight division, like Hill Yuri is going to happen next weekend, right? So Yuri has already lost to Pereira twice, badly too. Hill has already lost to Pereira badly. So that you're talking about rematches now, and maybe won't happen. Rakic is on a 2-fight losing streak. Blachowicz is done. He's done. Krylov is right there, from a rankings perspective and win streak perspective.
I believe he's 6
and would beat some of those guys ahead of him. I'm not saying he would beat them every time, but I'd favor him over maybe everybody I just named. And went to 29-28 decision against Ankalaev. I think Krylov would beat Pereira if in that hypothetical matchup. Here's the problem with Krylov. I actually think Krylov's chances of becoming champion are more hurt because the UFC just doesn't care about him, and his last fight booked was against an unranked guy, and he's 6 on a 6-fight winning streak. It's disgraceful. So
he's 5 actually. He's
so
5,
they might not even be considering making it, but there's a year, and he's not far behind at all, just rankings wise. So keep an eye. Remember this timestamp in December, and let's see where Krylov's at career wise.
When you've never heard of the light heavyweight champion, remember that Jonah tried to tell you about him.
That's right.
You know who he's going to fight? He's going to fight Jan. Jan doesn't have a fight. Went off surgery. They haven't fought before.
Good.
4-6.
Crap out of him.
4-5. Excuse me. 4-5. Yeah, I think Anka scared me a bit in his fights. And buddy, if he does this shit where he says I'm going to beat you on the feet, and he actually goes about that in any type of way,
I'm going to assume that's not true. I'm going to assume he's not a fucking dumbass.
He seems to be the only Russian fighter that has control of his own Twitter. So I do think it comes from him.
It's managed by Ali.
Ali
will straight up get on. Ali will come on this podcast, sit over there on that cushion, and say, "Yes, I tweet from my fighter." Of course I do.
In his fucking Joseph A. Banks suit. All right, we got unanimous through 2 divisions, Aspinall and Anka. But light heavyweight's close. God, that's a really fun fight. You agree they've tailor-made Pereira's title run so far?
Sure.
I'm very low on Pereira's title
run. They
run.
can't hide anymore, though. It's over. It's reported in the past 2 days that he's fighting Ankalaev next. So,
Anka should have been, for the record, the first title defense of Alex Pereira, not the...
Yeah, right.
But here we are. Middleweight. I'm going to go first. He's got a beard.
Yeah.
Got a cleft lip. That one. That guy, Hamzat Chimaev.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say anybody else after the Whitaker performance. I think he'd take DDP to school, and that's not any disrespect against DDP because I think he'd do that just against anybody pretty much. I think if anybody that he would realistically fight stands a chance, Strickland probably has the best chance, and even then, I doubt it.
There are many training stories of Strickland and Hamzat, and it seemed like, it depends who you ask. If you ask Sean, was competitive. Seems like to everybody else, Hamzat.
There's third parties that were suggesting Hamzat was absolutely dominant on the ground, and then on the feet it was kind of close. So which would be a massive loss to Strickland. Yeah. So I just think Hamzat is going to pick him up and choke him like he does everybody. I mean, let's get it going too. I'm tired of waiting on Hamzat because he gets the flu every 3 months.
This one isn't his fault. This finally, you're right. He couldn't make weight, flu. He's about to die from COVID, whatever. This one, the UFC did the right thing by giving Strickland the shot, only because they promised him the shot and they fucked up by promising the shot.
Yeah.
After, I don't know. You're on Twitter, yeah?
I see his tweets, yeah.
Okay. A big thing in the MMA Twitter community recently has been to put Costa Strickland on various fast forward speeds.
Okay.
2 times, 4 times, 8 times, and it's unwatchable.
Yeah.
At 8 times speed.
Sure.
There's nothing going on. But remember, that was a split decision for Strickland. So. I will say this for DDP, and I hate to not get technical because you want to try to, impart real advice and things from film, but DDP somehow makes his opponents slip and fall and do dumb things. And DDP himself will fall down and then ankle pick Izzy with his hand. And, it's just like, I'll never count DDP out ever again after Rob.
I will if he fights Hamzat because I respect DDP's run. I mean, I'd consider it comparable to Oliveira. You're a worse fighter beating fighters that are better than you by some means of, intangibles and weird outcomes. And that's not shitting on him. It's an impressive run. It's more just Hamzat's that good and it's a wrap. So we're here now. It's finally fucking arrived. This guy came on the scene during COVID, and we thought he was going to be the champion. It's 2025, and now we're hoping he fights for the title in like July during International Fight Week. About fucking time.
Unanimous through 3. I think we'll finally have a different answer here. The most loaded division with contenders. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys that have a shot at the title. I'll list them out. Prates, Gary, Buckley, Brady, JDM, Kamaru, Xavi, Bilal, and a mystery guy.
Yeah.
I got the 2025 year-end champion, welterweight, Islam Makhachev, moving up from lightweight. I think it's time. I think he beats Arman. And when he beats Arman, that will be his 4th, I believe. And he's done them all in dominant enough fashion that I think they'll give it to him. I think the UFC likes the super fight. They don't like people holding 2 belts when, like Leon winning 2 and asking to go up to 85. But when he beats Arman, he will have cleared out the division. I mean, we're talking about guys that need to win 2 at lightweight to make a lightweight title shot. He's cleared out. There's no one left at lightweight after Arman.
No, I don't want to see him fight at lightweight ever again. When he beats Arman, in my opinion.
So I'm going mystery man Islam Makhachev, new welterweight champion.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I in a way, I even hope that's the case, because I don't need to see him run through other lightweights again. I'm gonna go Sean Brady. I think the only acceptable answers, really, especially given that Gary just lost, even though I still think Gary's really good, are Islam is 1. I have to put Bilal in there still. Shavkat, obviously. And I just think Brady's looked too good to discount it. Like I think he looks so much better now. And matchup wise, I mean the Bilal fight showed it. That's probably his toughest matchup in that grouping. And then I still think he wins that rematch, by the way. I mean he won round 1 and it was kind of a weird stoppage, but I think he'd take down Shavkat. And I think in a hypothetical versus Islam, I think he's way too big. It's not really a skill thing because I think Islam's the best fighter in the promotion, but I think he's just too big. And I mean Brady's back is the size of your table over there. And so I don't see nobody's going to the ground there if Brady doesn't want to, which he might. He might just be so big that he would want to. And then if it's on the feet, I mean, I respect the shit out of Islam on the feet, but it's largely a lot of, not largely, but a lot of it is because people are so threatened by his takedown that he has openings. I mean, that's what to go back to the Poirier fight, Islam basically just won that fight on the feet against a better striker than him because Poirier was worried about takedowns the whole time. Brady won't be worried about takedowns at all. And Brady's huge, and Brady's really good at striking. I think it's just shaking out for Brady real well. I think Brady ranked 5 at welterweight now? Because I think JDM is 4.
I'm just looking up. Who did JDM just get scheduled for? Somebody, no?
Leon.
Yeah, Leon. Brady's 5, yeah.
Yeah, see, I think let's say Leon wins the JDM fight. Just I'm not saying I'm picking him, but hypothetically. He won't get a rematch. He's not really a star. He's
No.
they're going to make him win at least 2 fights to get a title shot. And I think JDM's probably the best top guy that he'd have a shot against besides Usman. So it won't be Leon. I don't think JDM's good enough to get a shot. I like JDM, and maybe he'd win certain matchups, but I generally don't think he'd beat most of the top guys.
He's not beating Brady.
Nah,
sure.
Brady's that dude, man. Brady's that dude, and so I think I'm gonna go with Brady. I think it scares me more that he might just not get a shot, more so than him winning those fights.
That's my biggest problem with him is definitely not a star. As not a star you can get as an American.
The way I'm thinking about it is I think he'll fight twice this year, and I think he only needs 1 fight to get to a title shot now. So I'm gonna say he probably fights Usman. I'm gonna say he probably fights Usman in April and makes him look silly to the point where Usman retires. Because Shavkat's gonna fight for the belt next, no question, obviously. So Shavkat's gonna fight Bilal. I would pick Shavkat in that fight, but it's a good fight. Let's just say we both agree Shavkat probably wins. Brady's. I don't think Brady has anybody to fight besides Usman at this point. And Usman. I mean, it's funny. I don't think Usman has anybody to fight besides Brady. I think it's the only option they both really have given the rankings.
I think it's a love triangle with Joaquin.
Yeah, but Joaquin, I don't like Joaquin just got his flowers with Colby, and I don't think there's levels to this. And I like Joaquin a lot, and I think Joaquin would beat Usman. But Brady's been there now, and I think it's going to be Brady. Dern just won by finish right there.
Oh, guys, live update. We watched a lot of this. Oh my gosh, yeah, that must have been some slicing elbows. I know it wasn't the striking. Wow, she's jacked. I mean, jacked Dern is one of those mythical UFC fighters.
Yeah, dude, I'm going Brady. I think he's gonna fight twice this year, and one of them is a title fight. And I think that's no matchup I want to see in the UFC more. If I'm just thinking top of my head, more than Brady Shavkat. I think it's from a skill perspective and what would be at stake. I think I just want it that bad. Because Jones Aspinall, everybody says will be the biggest fight. I already know what's going to happen. I don't need to see that.
The disrespect.
Shavkat, Brady, man, the level of skill in that fight. I mean, that's the type of fight that gets me fucking hard. I want to see who's the fucking dog. I mean, Shavkat Gary was that's as enjoyable as MMA gets to me. We watched it right here. And I know people thought it might have been boring. I pulled my ass. When you're that good,
man,
shake out like that. And obviously Shavkat came out on top there, but Brady's a totally different fight. And I think Brady's so big, so big, and he can get his hands.
Jonah is talking about him like he's his girlfriend right now.
He get his hands around anybody's waist. And Shavkat's skinny little thing. Like, he's skinny, dude. He's skinny. I know he's got that combo, but he's skinny little dude. 6'3", whatever, 170. I mean, that guy doesn't have that much muscle. You know, I know it's got horse meat on him, but Brady gets his hands around his waist. I think he just picks him up, dunks him, and they showed the camera from up above. And Brady's got that big fucking scary Joker looking tattoo that'll make.
I was gonna say the one thing against Brady is he has maybe the worst tats.
Oh yeah,
not the worst.
They're well done, actually, quality wise.
Well done. That's what's terrible. The quality is good, but the concepts are.
But you're gonna get a good look at him. You're gonna get a good look at him this year from up above because he's gonna be dominating some of these skinny boys. And we already talked about the size of his back. There's such a big canvas for those tats. They don't even need to zoom in. They can show up to the top of the arena. And
that's how he fit the Joker and the double snakes. Is those lats. What stands out to me in this conversation is how one of these guys was the absolute boogeyman 2 months ago, and we're not really giving him any respect, and he won in the interim. But I think Shavkat was exposed, not the right word, did not dominate Gary, especially on the ground. Shout out to Gary, but did not dominate Gary on the ground in a way that we thought was befitting with his prospects.
I don't know. I thought people were looking at Gary wrong going into that fight, not Shavkat. And I think and maybe people are interpreting it differently still, even after the fight. I still interpret it as Gary's better than what consensus thought, and that's why that fight was close.
So Shavkat's stock not down for you, just
not
Gary's
up or
stock
down.
up.
I mean, he beat undefeated Gary. That's a huge win in my book. Not a lot of guys can do that. And I think he'll beat Bilal. So if you're saying we're not giving him his flowers, I think he will be champion this year.
Okay. The unloved fivesome. Which one do you like? I know it's not Kamaru, so the unloved foursome. JDM, Buckley, Gary, Carlos. Carlos Prates.
Are we talking in the context of who do I think is the best fighter in there, or who do I think is the best chance to be the year-end champ?
Best chance to be year-end champ.
JDM. Because if he beats Leon, which he might. That fight, I'd have to think about that fight for more than I have. But he could beat Leon. And I like JDM's look for Shavkat a bit. I think that's interesting. I think that's a better matchup for him than versus Bilal.
I'm
gonna stick with that. I think Bilal would be like way too active and want to take him down immediately, and we already saw the local brown belt do that pretty easily. So,
Hazel, Hafez.
I think.
Are you saying Bilal would be a tougher matchup than Shavkat?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you on that.
Yeah. That's why I was confused, but I think JDM could put up a good fight against Shavkat. And he can definitely beat Leon. So the fact that his opportunity is already there, and I think he's probably the second best fighter in that grouping behind Gary. I'll say JDM.
No love for Carlos.
He's good. I mean, he's a bit away. Like he's not beating like superstars yet or anything. Like the rest of those guys have already.
I love Carlos for his Muay Thai smoking cigs before the fight. He's great. I do think he's got an outside shot just because, let's say he gets a Buckley or, he's on he was fighter or breakthrough fighter of the year, I think, for sure. And all it takes is him getting a BSD or Poirier opportunity, turning the lights out on somebody, and then all of a sudden he's 4 or 5.
I think they'll do him Wonder Boy, honestly.
Oh, I hope not. Please, hey, Dana, if you're watching this, please
I think
do
Wonder
not.
Boy will want it because it'll be on the feet. That's all he wants to do anyways.
You know what, though? Carlos might shoot.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
I would shoot on Wonder Boy, so. Okay. Islam for me, Sean, Billy, Brady, for Jonah, the first disagreement we have in the rundown. We're going to long considered the UFC's golden division. That is lightweight, the 155ers. Current belt holder, Islam Makhachev. He is an overwhelming favorite by Vegas. I want to say 230, minus 230, to have his belt at the end of the year. Jonah, who holds the belt? 12, 31, 25 at 1.
I'm gonna say Islam. I think with his defense and just how pessimistic I am about how things move so slowly in the UFC, like the chances that either they don't move him up to 170 for whatever reason yet, or they just like keep him as the champion for an extended period of time to say he was double champ at year end, whatever. That's possible. I'll add to that and say if it's not Islam, I think it'll be Ilya. I think Ilya isn't going to lose, which is sad because it sounds like Ilya Volk is next, and we all know how I feel about Volk. But I just don't think Ilya's going to lose. I don't think Ilya's going to lose. There's nobody else even interesting to fight at featherweight after Volk again, and Max is gone, so that rematch is off the table. And I'm getting there. Okay. Lopez and Evloev, and so we're hoping Lopez wins, like to stay around, which I think he will. But Ilya Lopez is that's tailor made for Ilya to go to. Sadly, I want Lopez to win more than anybody, but come on, I mean, he's getting put out cold.
That's like a Derek Lewis.
Yeah, and I think Ilya is going to be such a fucking superstar, and everybody at lightweight's kind of done soon. Honestly, I mean, what? Oliveira beat Chandler. And
that's who was available to fight.
Yeah.
Iron Mike, 2-4
right.
in the UFC.
Am I going to predict Hooker's going to be champion? Am I going to predict Moicano's going to be champion? Moicano's not a bad guess to be. If you don't think Islam's going to be there, Moicano is a legit threat to be champ. Poirier's done soon. I saw some headlines saying Poirier, Max, BMF
retirement
potential one. I don't think Max would beat some of the top. I mean, I thought Max would beat Gaethje, which aged well, but I don't think he'd beat some of the other top guys that are like way bigger than him. So I just think Ilya is just a better fighter than all those guys, and some of those guys are like really on the decline of their careers. So I'm gonna say Ilya. I'm gonna say they moved Ilya up year end.
Yeah, I've been saying this for a while. 55 is not the golden division of the UFC right now, and that's because we have a dominant champ, and just like you said, the cream of the crop is old and rusted. It's not the cream anymore, and that next generation really has not materialized.
Yeah, it's not even the top guy's fault. They've beaten all the new guys. Like when Fiziev lost to Gaethje and BSD lost to Poirier, people don't realize how significant those results are. Not just for those guys, but like the scope of the division moving forward. It delays a division for 2 years at a time. That's why even in the Gaethje fight, I was like rooting for Fiziev because I just want things to cycle through and like progress, not just get the same rematches.
When Mike turned back Tony.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
It's not the glamour division. I mean, the new blood is Moicano, who's 35, who's old as dirt. I mean, really, the only new blood I can think of that like is on the upswing. Addy Pimblett.
Fuck that.
I mean, he's got no championship equity, but like he's the only guy. I guess Turner, but Turner's gotten turned back multiple times.
I also don't think this is a like lame comment that's like some nerd in the back would make, but I don't think Turner's going to keep making weight because he's already missing it, and he's like our age, and he's so big that it's going to get so hard that I don't think he'll be able to make weight anymore. But I will say one thing: don't fall asleep on Fiziev. I don't think that's over. I'm not closing that book yet because, damn, that guy's good. And his last injury was kind of fluky, or last loss was fluky because of the injury. And even if he fought Gaethje again, I would take Fiziev in the rematch. Given
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. I mean, I think that was the last stand
for sure. So I think if Fiziev is able to get, he's been. This is why I can't stand the UFC. Been saying he's wanted to fight since September. What are we doing? So I think if he gets the fights, I could see it. Those matchups for him, I'm not sure there's a single matchup that I don't like him in. If you take out Islam, I swear to God, I think I might favor Fiziev in everything. What guy in the lightweight top 10 would you favor over Fiziev? I'd take him over Arman. Honestly, at full health, I'd take him over Arman.
I'd take Arman, and that
even Moicano, who I just said is not.
No, Moicano would be a nightmare matchup.
He already got knocked out by him, but Moicano said, like, I don't want to fight Fiziev again. Straight up, I don't want to fight Fiziev again.
He's not getting him down too fast. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of interested in what a Fiziev hooker would be. To see if Hooker can.
I'd love Hooker, shit. But man, I'd be fucking worried about him in that one.
Yeah. The takedown defense. I mean, Gamrot was razor close when he.
I think that was shaping up to be a good fight, but I was leaning Fiziev before the fight, and I was leaning Fiziev during the fight until it ended, obviously. So
I think I have Ilya written down on this paper, and I'm going to change it to Islam for one.
Can I say one thing to your Ilya comment? I would take Fiziev over Ilya. Like,
Fiziev is.
I just think he's that good, man. I just think he's that good. I think he's that fast.
He's also got a great tan all the time.
He is roided out of his mind. He is roided. I mean, shout out Bobby Green. I think Fiziev would beat any of these guys if he's okay. But he's got a long road there coming off back-to-back losses, so maybe not.
The reason why it's Islam for me is that I just remembered that Islam doesn't just want to move up. Islam wants to become the first champion to hold 2 belts and defend 2 belts.
Sure.
So I just realized that he's not going to give up the 55 strap. He's going to go up to 7.
Yeah.
And
that's fun too.
I think Arman has the best chance to beat him in the division, and I don't think anybody else has greater than a uppercut, a haymaker's shot at it. So yeah, I'm gonna go Islam. Well, not sexy, but it is what it is. Now let's get to something sexy. Let me tell you, JMan's not
nothing sexy about it. This is a wrap.
But I'm gonna make the sexiest unsexy pick you've ever seen at featherweight, and you're gonna hate it.
I can't stand it. I can't.
At 145, I see Ilya, who apparently walks around at like 183, which doesn't make sense to me unless he's hitting Modelo's more than he should be. I don't understand how he gets that big, but he really wants to move up. I think he knocks out Volk again, and I think he actually does it. I also think someone in the UFC said this, and I agree. He is obsessed with the McGregor path, and it's a good. I mean, great fucking path. You make 150 million. Yeah, you make 150 million. And so I think Ilya moves up. That leaves Volk, Diego Lopez, Movsar Evloev. I've been saying for years, timestamp this, I've been saying for years, Evloev is the unsexiest boogeyman at 45. I think he just got past his roughest stylistic test in Aljo, who's also grappling heavy sub guy. And that was really closer than I would have liked, but I don't think anyone else can hold the candle outside of Aljo in the grappling department. He made pretty easy work to me of Arnold Allen, who I think very highly of. Diego had his moments, but let's be real, it's 30-27. He had a knee bar. Yeah, he landed a big hook. Pretty convincing 30-27. If they fought again, I mean, give me that. If Evloev and Diego fought again, who would you take?
Diego. I've been on the Evloev train forever, but I mean, you dying on this hill is nonsense after the Aljo fight. I mean, that was. If you think
he's undefeated,
you got him for champion. You got him beating Ilya. Yeah,
I think Ilya moves up.
It's nonsense. But you think he would beat Ilya? You've said this. Please change your opinion on this for the respect of the dignity of this. That coin's got to have one head and another head, and that's got to represent Ilya, because that's nonsense after that Aljo fight. But I mean, Movsar's obviously very good. You don't just beat Aljo if you suck, but
dominate Arnold Allen.
Dominate is nonsense. Dominate's not. If the rules that just got passed 3 months ago were passed before that fight, Arnold would have won in the third round with his knee. Okay, so
if I had two left hands, I'd be a lefty.
By the way, it wasn't even the rule. It was like an incorrect call by the referee. So, I mean, he would have been done. And again, beating Allen is a good thing, but that Diego fight, I don't like it for him. Really, I really don't like the matchup for him. I'm not saying for sure I could go either way there, but that's a tough fight. And I've been saying for a couple years, I think before Ilya won the belt, Volk is built to beat Movsar. Couldn't be more perfect for him. And then I think Ilya is so good that I don't think anybody can beat him. So I think Movsar just has he's so good, but he has such a roadblock in front of actually getting the belt, and the UFC fucking hates him. That I don't think he can do it.
In my scenario, Ilya's gone.
Yeah, I hear you. Even then, I think it's too.
You think he can't get past Diego and Volk?
No,
but so Ilya moves up, right? That's a vacant. You're not booking Volk off back-to-back title loss. It's got to be Diego Evloev, I think.
This is, and I'm not saying it's my opinion. I don't disagree with you really. I don't think the UFC would do it with Evloev. They hate him that much, and they have more reason to hate him after the Aljo fight. Like I don't think. I know me and you enjoyed the Aljo fight because we find it interesting because of the matchup. But like, spectator wise, I mean,
they were on the prelims.
More ammo. Evloev gave him more ammo with that fight. Then they were like, we already have too much. We can't fit anymore. And then he was like, no. I want to be a 2-1 where I rip it out in the final minute 30 of round 3. So I don't think he's getting shit.
I'm going to clinch this by switching position with a minute 30 left and landing another elbow. Yeah. But all I'll say about that, Aljo is the second best grappler. Well, it depends how you feel about Diego. But like grappling,
no, I don't disagree. I think Aljo's great.
I was just saying that I don't think anyone's going to be able to present that type of, like you saw in Evloev Diego. Diego got him in the jiu-jitsu knee bar, but Evloev was on top.
Yeah, I don't think Evloev could take Volk down. So that one I feel pretty clear on. The Diego fight, it's not really like I see one path to victory for Diego that I'm certain on. Like I'd be worried about Movsar getting on top and playing top game like he does. It's just I think the other routes for Diego to win overlap Movsar's route. So I think I'd take Diego, but it's close there.
Okay. All right. Timestamp that. Movsar Evloev.
Sense.
Back to consensus, I believe. Unfortunately, as we go down to 135, another one of UFC's premier divisions, and one that's actually really exciting right now. We have this one is actually tough because we have a title fight so early in the year. Next week, we have Merab Dvalishvili against Umar Nurmagomedov. Obviously, Habib's cousin. crazy fight. Merab's got some of the best strength of schedule. Was getting the Ankalaev treatment where he couldn't get a shot, partially his own fault. Being friends with the then champion Aljamain Sterling and refusing to fight him, but also getting gypped by the UFC. He got his title shot. Merab killed the sacred cow. Sugar dominated 49-44 or 49-46, excuse me. And then faces what we said offline is probably the hardest first defense in UFC history. So, given that this fight happened so early in the year, who do you have holding it at the end?
Umar is the only right answer, but I think there's a really good chance that he doesn't. And I'm not saying Umar versus one other guy. I'm saying if you gave me a hypothetical odds, Umar versus the field, because this fight's happening in January, and we're specifically talking year end. Umar's year is probably going to look something exactly like this. January versus Merab. Okay. If you're counting out Merab in any fight, you're crazy. I'm not saying I'm picking him, but Merab winning any fight wouldn't surprise me. June versus O'Malley. They're going to give O'Malley the rematch. And O'Malley, whatever you think of him, period, or versus Merab, I think the Umar fight's a much better fight for O'Malley. And it's a much harder fight for Umar than Sandhagen was. Like, Sandhagen looked good in a lot of ways because he, did some, like, rant,
A lot of
Ryan Hall shit to defend takedowns. But, Umar's so good at striking, and Sandhagen had to be worried about that. And Sandhagen's top 3 favorite fighter of mine. But he doesn't have any, like, snappy power like that. And you're, like, trying to hurt Umar. And you want to open the door of having the path of winning by knockout. Sean obviously has that. Like, Sean's way bigger, snappier, faster, longer than Corey.
Quick twitch.
Yeah, totally different striker. So
most knockout equity.
And Sean's not a fucking slouch at takedown defense. I mean, I'm not saying he will, but I just think that's not an easy fight as a lot of people would think. So that's 2 difficult fights, and then year end. Cap it off with Jan.
The silver bullet.
If you're telling me Umar has to beat Merab, O'Malley, and Jan in 1 year, do you take Umar or the field? I mean, I can make a case either way. That's the fucking death row to go through. I mean, if he does that, you can already fucking pencil him in as like
best Bantamweight,
because that's already a debatable division of who the GOAT is. Because
it's Aljo right now.
Aljo's wins were so, weird and fluky with the knee and then the Dillashaw shoulder crap that if he does that legitimately, those 3 guys, give them GOAT for me. I don't care. But that's a lot. That's a lot.
He would be the absolute lock for fighter of the year.
100%. There's nobody else would do anything. I don't think. Like,
it'd be almost an Ilya-esque run to get through those 3. It's not the 3 GOATs, but it's like 3 of the top 10 guys ever.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I mean it'd be impressive. I think you can make a case it's more likely than not to happen too. So
that he gets through.
Yeah, the 3.
If we did the statistics of what we thought the percentages are, I'm sure that it would tell us he's exactly like you said, he's favored to not get. But that being said, you almost convinced me, Merab, because if you run that exact same schedule, right? Umar's got to get through Merab. Sugar's a more difficult matchup, and I've been saying for 9 months that I think Jan is the only silver bullet left for Umar. If Merab can get through Umar, he's already 50-45 with the other 2.
Yeah.
So you almost made me switch.
It's kind of hard not to say Umar.
Because I think Umar.
But I'm with you. I mean, I think everybody and their mother sleeping on Merab, including Vegas, who's like completely disrespecting with those odds.
The odds are crazy. I think what's tough is Umar is tailor-made for Merab.
Agree.
Right? Tailor-made. The way that Merab is tailor-made for Jan. And it matches up extremely well. Fuck it. I'm going to say Merab.
I want Merab to win, man.
Yeah.
That the heel to good guy turn would be beautiful for Merab if he can win. They're going to be cheering for him next weekend.
You think so?
Cheering for him. Yeah, he's such a clown at this point that everybody loves clowns. And
did I send you the press conference?
I didn't.
Oh, it was really good. Merab was screaming and yelling and then throwing.
Oh
yeah.
There as well. Okay, yeah, that was a while ago too, like a month ago.
Yeah, like 6 weeks ago. Where do you see yourself after the championship? Jacuzzi. I'm gonna go Merab because just of what we said when we laid it out like that. Sugar's getting the next shot. I just can't see it going any different. And Jan, I think is there was a time where I thought Jan was like top 3 fighter on the roster.
So I know where you're going with that, but Merab's just a tough fucking fight, and I'd be really interested to see Jan Umar. I'll say that. I don't know how Jan would fare there. I don't think. I think he matches up better versus Umar than Merab, same as O'Malley.
No doubt. That's 100%.
Really, like you can't say he matches up worse because it couldn't have been any worse versus Merab. So
Jan had great takedown defense. Had immaculate takedown defense until he got taken down.
He couldn't do anything. It's like there was no activity because he was so worried about being taken down every single second, and I can't blame him. Like Merab does it. This is why I keep saying, sound like a broken fucking record. Don't be fucking surprised when Merab wins 4 rounds to 1 next weekend. And I say that as a guy picking Umar because it's happened every fight, and nobody even has stood a chance. Like fucking if some. Is why they Marlon caught him. Like this guy's boat racing everybody he fights, man, including he was literally dead on the canvas in the Marlon fight, and then came back and won that round, and then finished him in the next round.
88 unanswered strikes.
Like it's ridiculous. Like, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised with Merab. I'm rooting for him, man. I hope he does it and becomes like really likable to everybody.
Because we won't be back until after that fight. Can we do a little Merab preview?
Oh yeah. Let's do it. But let's get the Islam Arman one out of the way. Islam's gonna dominate, and we don't even need to discuss that one. What? Yeah, Arman's gonna be lucky to get 1 round. I think he might, but he'll be lucky to do it.
He can He can land a big shot and steal a round.
Yeah.
He can do a cool axe kick. And
okay.
That's
what about Moicano Benny? You got Moicano?
I got Moicano.
I think that's pretty straightforward.
Yuri Jamal, I won't know.
I'm going Yuri, and that's not. I do like Yuri, and I don't like Jamal, but I think Yuri's just better. I think the Pereira fights were just like really, unfortunately, a terrible matchup for him. And I think he's going to beat everybody else not named Pereira. Unless he fights Krylov. Shout out.
There was a lot of discussion on Twitter, and it's because there's so much love for Yuri, but it was a good point. Like, I don't think, was there a fight for Reyes between Jones and Yuri? There was.
He lost to Blachowicz. He got knocked out.
Yeah. But, like, Reyes was a guy.
Yeah, he was. And Yuri looked scary that fight. Yuri looks scary every fight besides Pereira fights.
Yuri shares something with Chris Curtis in that he can weaponize that fucking chin and just walk through shit. And unless it's a head kick to the dome, he can walk through a storm. I think I don't like Jamal. I think Jamal is really good. I think he looks sloppy, but he doesn't strike sloppy. Yeah.
I kind of want. Well, I take it back. I was gonna say I want Yuri to win so we don't see the Pereira Jamal matchup, but Jamal talks so much shit. I kind of would want to see him get his ass beat again.
Just for him to get slept again.
Do it again. You know.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say about Islam Arman is that Arman. The problem with Arman is he's really fucking good, and I think he's the second best lightweight in the world. He's just a little bit worse at every.
Yeah.
He's a little bit worse at every single thing. I think the one, if you're an Arman fan, what you look at is you look at the Poirier fight and say, "Hey, like Poirier was. If Poirier can train and defend this,
see,
then Arman can."
I told you this months ago, though. Even if Arman defends takedowns, which who knows if he will, Islam is so good on the feet. He's so good on the feet. And Arman's not bad, but Islam's so good that it's just going to be Islam on the feet. I think Islam on the feet 4-1, 5-0 is how I see it playing out. It won't even be the fucking scramble fuckfest that we saw a few years ago where like Arman looked good and caught everyone's attention. I think it'll be on the feet, Islam sharp as hell, 5-0.
I rewatched Olive's Arman, and outside of the really cool axe kick, which was awesome, barely hit him. He's got a very basic. He's got a left high kick, but a pretty basic striking arsenal.
He does have good kicks.
Yeah.
But I mean, so does Islam. Islam does everything better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Literally everything.
Merab Umar. What do you got? Which preview? You gotta go Merab if you're picking Merab for year-end champ.
I'm gonna emotionally hedge. No, I mean, if I'm picking one guy, it's Umar. If there's a guy that can neutralize the cardio wrestling, I think the key is to not let him get up against the fence, not let him get attached to you. If there's one guy that can keep him off him, stuff that in its tracks, not stuff the first takedown, because that doesn't matter. Merab doesn't care about the first takedown. But to completely neutralize and then get off him, it's Umar. That being said, he's a Nurmagomedov, which we just assume means he's got amazing wrestling. This will be the best wrestler he's ever faced.
Of course.
By a country fucking mile. So, like, just because I'm assuming his wrestling is amazing. It was great against Corey. But, like, as you said, Merab's done this to everybody. Yeah. And, like, at will against people that we thought had great takedown defense. So, anytime it's on the feet, seems like a big advantage, Umar. I know Corey was really – people were like, he outstruck Corey. Corey was scared shitless of the takedown.
Yes. I mean, that's a relevant piece of it. That's why I say Islam looks so good on the feet every fight. He is, but they're so scared of it. So open.
But tailor-made to absolutely neutralize the first entry, I think, Umar, and just keep it standing, and it's Umar. I don't see how it gets a finish either way. I just don't. Especially
I don't really see a finish. Yeah. Neither of them has like knockout prowess like that.
Neither one's gonna really be able to get into a
I don't think so either. I think they're too explosive and too good at grappling that I don't know. I don't think it'll be 5-0. I'll say that. I think Merab will get his way at some point, but Umar 4-1. I'll lock that in.
Yeah, I'll try you. Let's go 3-2. I'll throw some respect to the champ.
I want it, man. I want it. I want Merab.
Have you ever seen better cardio in your life?
No, absolutely not. Not in any sport or facet of life. It's Merab.
I can't even think of the second most takedowns attempted I've seen in a fight. I just have this number 47 burned into the back of my head.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, no different with the Aldo fight too.
Yeah. I think as long as Merab's emoting, he's a fun fighter.
Yeah. He's gonna build a stock if he wins this. People are that fucking guy now.
For sure. So yeah, you going to Umar as well? 4-1.
Unfortunately.
Okay. Well, that's our 311 preview. Anything else on 311 we need? Isn't there another?
4. We hit the 4.
Yeah, Hanato. Okay, we have one more division, then we'll wrap this up. Flyweight. This should be short.
Pantoja minus 250 in any fight he fights. That's all. He beatable, but is more likely than not going to win any fight at flyweight.
Like, part of me wants to say KKF to be a contrarian, but then I think KKF loses the next fight he takes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, it's got
Pantoja's the man. Okay, he's getting better too. Getting better.
He is getting better.
It's Pantoja.
I didn't think Azakura was that bad. I mean, I just thought Pantoja.
It was a good scrap, but Pantoja is getting better. Nobody's really that close to him in the division, and he'll probably only fight twice this year because that fight was at year end, and he's already beaten everybody like twice.
Contenders: Albazi.
Yeah, I don't buy it at all.
Royval will probably get the next shot if he beats Cop.
I mean, we've already seen the movie.
I was in person.
We've
I
already
want
seen
my
the
money
movie.
back. I want my money back. That was fucking brutal. Here we go. Number 5, hailing from Japan, Tetsuro Taira.
Pantoja.
Nothing for you. You're gonna hate me. I would love to see Manel Cop get a fight. I love the guy. I think he's funny.
Yeah, I'm out. Obviously.
Yeah, I know you are. Just remind the crowd why you're out.
I mean, he's not very good. He's very fast, and he can look very fast and good against not good fighters. And then when he fights anybody good, he's typically lost. So I'm good. He's kind of a shit talker that thinks he what he called for a title shot after beating that little
number 11.
I don't even think he was 11.
He hit a number.
Nonsense. So no thanks. Pantoja minus 600 in that fight.
Talk to me about Albazi.
I'm out. He's fine fundamentally everywhere, but in terms of danger that you would need to present to Pantoja, no way.
Was it KKF that beat him and got robbed?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like KKF will get the next shot, and then Royval, Cop winner. They're just really struggling for guys, period. I mean, partly because they cleared the division out, partly because that's just never been a deep division, ever.
Yeah. I mean, they got problems. Pantoja, I'm happy for him. They'll just keep cashing checks against guys 2 levels beneath him.
What do you think his contract is?
Probably 500 base plus
points,
which is real money right there. So he's doing well.
Beats Uber Eats.
That's right.
That's for sure. Jonah and I saw Pantoja for the first time at Jonah's apartment, and it was Moreno. And after the fight, he had that call out to his dad, and it was just the most motivating / really sad thing
Yeah.
you've ever seen. Yeah. So that's it. One more time. Flyweight, Pantoja, Bantamweight, Umar for both of us. Featherweight, Evelev for me. You said Ilya stays? Ilya. Lightweight, Islam for both. Welterweight, Islam for me. Brady for JMan. Middleweight, Hamzat. Heavyweight, Ankalaev, and heavyweight, Aspinall. So, as you might expect by people that text a lot, some good consensus there, but we'll see. A lot of timestamps in this episode. Hopefully some of these come true. Thank you for listening, guys. It's been a good one. Thanks for coming back, Jonas. We'd love it. See you guys soon.